All right, all right. Peace and blessings, everyone. Aside for the success scholar, Honorable One, Hakeem Me here. Thank you for tuning in, listening. I wanted to do this piece real fast. Um, a lot's been going on, a lot of good things is, popping. First, let me just mention what's coming up this week. I have a networking event here in Baltimore at the a location down on Charles Street. So, for those that know, just a reminder, come on through, have a little food, have a little discussion, and hopefully we can get prepared for some other operations and other activities. But yeah, I'll speak more a little bit about that a little later. But I wanted to take some time to discuss something that's going on. Two individuals who generally have some unique perspectives that I think it's worth a intellectual dialogue in or discussion for individuals to know my take. People have asked me, what do I think? I think both individuals have some unique positions, and I feel that I am uniquely qualified to assist these individuals in oh, shoot, in bringing oops in bringing out and offering a little assistance and clarity of which I feel that can benefit both parties. Um, for those who may not know, Dr. Boyce Watkins, he's one of the co stars, if you will, or individuals that's in the film Black Friday Part 2, along with myself, David Banner, several other individuals, Mike Roberts, Black Billionaire. Yes, it's good to be in a film with a Black billionaire. So that's always a blessing. You know, you come from being in a book with Les Brown and Dr. George Frazier, as well as George Frazier will be coming to town next week as well. So heads up, I'll do a video about that. But so that's a blessing. And so Boyce Watkins, Dr. Boyce Watkins, he's known as a financial guru. And he previously had a broadcast with Yvette Carnell, who is like a political operative who has worked on Capitol Hill. So she has some experience, not just some experience, but some insights that I believe some people may have. And I think it's critical for me to speak at this time because I believe sincerely, based upon my experience, I can, understand psychology and understand why people say things that they say and do. Now, uh, the discussion has been around Boyce Watkins. I guess recent endeavors with cryptocurrencies and more so just wealth in general. The debate is around politics, individuals, or the responsibility of the government versus I'm not going to say do for self. And I've heard Bush Watkins, on several occasions, and overall, I think that it just makes sense for us to know our power, right? For us to know our power and to position ourselves in a responsible way for our own destiny, for our own financial destiny. So without anyone, uh, doing anything for you, you have to. You can't just sit around as well as make poor financial decisions. You cannot go and spend your money just frivolously or irresponsibly and think that somebody else is going to be there for you all the time. So as an adult, as a growing human being, you have to develop a change in philosophy about what you know from your past and your experience and what you can gather some insights about. And this does not go against the understanding that historically things have happened to individuals within our community that needs to be dealt with and healed and taken care of historically. Look for a word, I think that's, I don't want to use the word abatement, but you know, there are certain things that government has done, and there's several books, of course, and I've read Black Wealth, White Wealth, Black Labor, White Wealth, as well as the rather recent book, two recent books, Why White Folks Got So Rich, as well as the book on black banks and race inequality on black banks. So with those understandings, and and many people have theorized about policy prescriptions. My estimate or that understandings from actually being on Capitol Hill as well as talking to black elected officials, going to participating in the Maryland Legislative Black Caucus, as well as going to places like the Congressional Black Caucus. I realized that there simply may be limitations. There may be limitations in terms of the abilities of elected officials to implement some type of strategy to empower or transform the individual. So individuals are going to have to do their unique parts. I believe sincerely to be in a position to receive whatever uh, things come out from that. So, so Dr. Boyce Watkins, I mean, he just saying that he's going to do what he needs to do and he's going to teach people how to be empowered. And I sincerely do believe now it's not perhaps a massive scale that Miss Carnell would like to see, but I believe sincerely we all need to start and begin somewhere. So with that being said, and I feel that I'm a bridge in a sense because, of course, many people now are speaking about Dr. Boyce Watkins and whatever happened recently, and people saying that the whole gospel of prosperity. I mean, or the gospel of individuals being empowered as if no one has any merit. Like, okay, like, are you saying that that everyone is biologically destined or politically destined to be poor, right? And the reality is certainly not factual. It can it's not a absolute fact that you and when we talk about poverty, that's quite subjective, of course, and there is a difference between income and poverty. Let's just get real. But one particular time, I mentioned to Miss Carnell, I said something. I don't know. I said something about maybe people not spending money on something. I don't know, cars or car rims or something to that effect. So she just like totally dismissed the conversation. And I'm just like, well, what planet are you going to live on where, you can go gambling, you can go drinking, you can go smoking, you can go doing whatever, drugs or you can go, let's just not necessarily go in that direction. Let's just say you just want a bunch of damn clothes or you want a $500 belt or you want a $1,000 pair of shoes, or you want the most expensive car that you can't afford, and you're going to pay a certain amount of interest rate to get whatever car they Charlie's Auto Shop will sell you, and whatever interest rate. So it's not a thing of you know of saying either or. I made it plain it's an either or because again I do realize that there are and there have been various policy initiatives that have contributed, on a massive scale between uh, blacks and whites, and black labor white wealth, as well as black wealth, white wealth, does elaborate on these things as well as make various recommendations. So I'm not, you know, uh, you know, I'm not. I'll say, what's the term I'm looking for? I'm not against that. Is what I'm saying. I'm not against that conversation, but my question has been, and I'm probably the only person that can ask this question because I see that Miss Carnell gets a lot of listeners and viewers, and I'm just like, well, what are you doing to get this repairing, this reparations, this making politics work, right? Are you going to the Congressional Black Caucus every year? Are you organizing, having people there, right? Because people respond to different things. I mean, you have the lobbyists, and a good book out there about these things is Who Rules. Ralph Nader, he wrote this book some years ago. Who Rules Congress, right? So that's a very informative book that talk about the role of Congress. Now, if you're thinking that you're gonna influence the Supreme Court, it just takes a lot of juice, to do a Supreme Court case. So I don't know if that's the strategy. Most people, have access to their congressional representatives. So I'm just curious as to, well, what is your strategy if you're telling people that don't listen to this wealth talk. We so poor. We not gonna have nothing. We got to do this. I'm like, well, how long is this gonna take? Like, I mean, I haven't seen Connell or any of the her supporters, or no Breaking Brown lobbying firm, or at the Congressional Black Caucus. So I'm just like, now, I mean, are your people, you don't have any Maryland supporters that's going to put a shirt on, a T-shirt on, or that's going to go down to the Congressional Black Caucus and recruit and lobby, pass out some information. Maybe you did. Maybe I just missed you the past 7, 8 years that I've gone. So maybe it is. I've missed it. So I ain't gonna speak too much, but I'm gonna, say a few more things. I'm gonna ask, for instance, what about the state levels? Are you organizing on state levels, for instance, as well as, are you supporting any candidates? Are you supporting any candidates for local levels? Generally speaking, we're underrepresented. African Americans are underrepresented, for instance, in the United States Senate. I think there's like three representatives, and you have other ethnic groups that have more numbers than black people, but they have higher levels of representations in the U.S. Senate. So the reality is that numbers don't always matter. Okay, numbers don't always matter in the bigger scheme of progress. There are some ethnic groups in America that have a fraction of the population of 45 million African Americans, and they get what they want from the House and the Senate and the President of the United States. So, with that being said, uh, I want to say that if you're not supporting local candidates, uh, you that's like the minimum, or working on a campaign. And if you, for instance, can't support the candidates with your dollars, you should support them with your voice and your time. All right. So, and that's the balancing act between individuals working a job per se, as well as working a job per se, as well as building themselves, what they do financially for themselves. So now let me get on to this, and it kind of go together. It kind of go together, and why I was wanted to address black radio disempowering the black community, black radio talk show hosts disempowering the black community. Uh, there's several individuals out here, and someone attempted to, I guess, debate me, and they really just need to get kind of ran out of town, with the illogical philosophies. Now, I've read Black Labor, White Wealth. Dr. Claude Anderson does break down the role of politics, and as well as he talks about it in Powernomics. But I didn't hear him say not to vote. Um, I don't think that's a logical strategy to promote. Whether a vote totally matters or matters a little bit in certain cases or certain elections, the reality is that they matter in some levels. My concern, and since I've been able to see, is that there's certainly limitations, particularly based upon the consciousness of the individuals, or of course their levels of sophistication and their personal empowerment, what level that they are actually empowered on to be independent, to leverage the state, local resources to uh, invest and partner with the right empowered individuals. So, and that's what the challenge that I have, and when I actually have my critiques for the African American elected officials, for instance, um, as well as other officials, I'm not like coming from a perspective of being loud, angry, and not having any other solutions. And that's the problem that I'm having with these individuals, and that's why I am literally so confused with how a black radio station can allow or encourage and endorse someone telling black people, poor black people, to not vote. I mean, and not to say that that's the only thing, but my challenge is that these people, the radio programs, they haven't had Dr. Welsing on, they haven't had Dr. Claude Anderson on, haven't had Brother Prada on, they haven't had any of our, none of the black psychologists, none, just the real thinkers, even the brother that came to Baltimore with Tariq Nasheed with the film 1804. I mean, like, there's this ignorance on many of these radio hosts' part, and I just say that that's one of the big reasons for the past, I'd say, 10 years. I think black people have been dumbed down by these individuals that they don't have any broadness. They haven't really truly networked in with a lot of people. uh, so they really don't have a vision. They don't read the right books. They haven't showed up at different conferences and listened to different people. And this is why, for instance, and I heard someone called in on a radio station today, and they said something about how um, talking about the mayor, why the mayor not giving $17 million to whomever, somebody. We need to give it to the grassroots. Well, these particular grassroots, I mean, they don't have no real, expertise. They don't, they're not developing anything. I mean, and this is why, for instance, I had to go and network with some real builders. This is why I had to, reach outside, for instance, outside of Baltimore, and be an asset myself, first and foremost, before I just be, up and around Baltimore with my hand out, being non-productive and not having anything to contribute to anybody. To say that, okay, well, it's time that someone has to step up. Someone has to step up and write a check. Someone has to step up and create a job, or network and partner and encourage people to develop the right career, business, entrepreneurial, holistic health skills, where they are, you know, they have value, right? They have skills, they have good health, they have things that they need to be uh, viable in this society. They're not blowing money. Once they get the money, they're not thinking, oh, it's time to go to the casinos, right? So these are some of the values that I am attempting to instill. That unfortunately, these black radio stations and hosts, unfortunately, they don't have a clue. Just a good holistic lifestyle to encourage the community of how to live and prosper, right? And this is why, I wrote the book with Les Brown, a motivational speaker, Les Brown, and Dr. George C. Frazier. Now, you would think that sincerely, and this is why, you know, uh, I'm connecting to other individuals, but I know that my message, my teachings, that individuals that hear what I'm saying and hear uh, the transformational message that I'm bringing, I believe sincerely that more and more will wake up, right? But I'm like, if they're not intelligent enough and healthy and empowered enough to have, for instance, Dr. Claude Anson, Francis Cress Welsing, or even a Dr. Africa, some healthy, holistic individuals, teaching people about health. Um, if they're not really interested in hearing them, I'm not going to expect for them to change in their old age. Sometimes, we as organizers, workers, thinkers, we got to know how to, I mean, we got to calculate, like people's mental health status. We have to calculate their economic status, their abilities, their value, or their values, right? Not everybody has overcome the psychological uh, effects of slavery and Jim Crow segregation and all the other destructive and self-destructive forces that have impeded us and our community. And so, with that being said, I'm going to say that it's time for more informed, empowered, healthy, holistic leaders to continue to step up. I'm definitely stepping up my efforts, and I'm not dealing with like small scale operations at this time. Growth is happening, cash flows are happening, cash flows are improving on many different levels. Uh, we are building a more progressive and informed movement for this time. So, what I will say for those that may not necessarily know just where or what level I've been building on, I say pay attention to the next phase. The next phase, and things are going to be picking up, working very methodically, and so we need for real, true leaders, thinkers, builders, those that have decency and just truly able to assess, not be dogmatic, but a willingness to learn and grow. And this is why, I've been always open to listen to different people. This is why, I can listen to a Boyce Watkins and Yvette Carnell, and I could see many of the good points and insights that both of them have. But I also am able to understand the limitations, of just people that are just preaching and talking, and those that have the abilities to implement and execute. And this is the difference, why, you know, and I don't know what's stopping people from showing up and stepping up and, you know, overcoming the various lack of development. But I believe sincerely that we are all responsible for our own transformation. No one is going to give you consciousness. No one is going to make you think wealthy and sacrifice. If you want to do something and get some money and go out and buy some expensive ring or necklace or something like that, that's going to be on you. And we can't. Who's going to keep paying for people's lifestyles that they really can't afford? I mean, somewhere along the line, you know, it it's going to end. So this is what I'm saying in terms of the success scholar, the rise of the success scholar movement. We got some progress being made here uh, continually. So I just stay connected to a more progressive, more informed thinking movement, a scholastic movement where we have one of the better analysis. My team, we're executing, creating opportunities, creating career jobs. That's what we want. We want entrepreneurs. We want healthy, holistic individuals. We want true thinkers. So that's all I have to say for this broadcast. I am out. So talk to you all later. Peace.